What can happen if your dream becomes a wish, an intention, and then manifests? You may feel that it's just for you, but as we'll see in this podcast that I had this co-creative conversation with Dee Rodriguez, sometimes your dreams are really there for fulfilling the intentions, the wishes, and the dreams of so many others.
Puma Wanka is the means in Quechua, the place where the Puma resides. And the Puma is the guardian of Kaipacha, which is where we are now. You see, so that's why I knew when I came here, that's how I knew this was the piece of land I was supposed to have. Because I'd had a folder for years that said Kaipacha. And when I came here and I saw the Puma Wanka, I'm like, okay, Puma Wanka, the Puma's the guardian of Kaipacha. This has to be the right place.
Wow. So what is Kaipacha?
Kaipacha is in the Inca tradition. They have the three worlds. Okay, Hananpacha is the celestial world. Can also mean the future, that kind of connotation. Kaipacha is the world of the humans and the animals. And it also has the connotation of the here and now. So I think of like living in the moment, that kind of idea, right? And then Urupacha is the underworld and the past. And the guardian of that is the serpent. The guardian of Kaipacha is the Puma. And the guardian of the heavens, the sky and everything in it, the rainbow, the lightning, the thunder, the moon, the sun, everything that's in the celestial world is the condor, is the guardian.
Wow.
So
I know when we were driving here, there was a roundabout and they had these animals on pillars.
That's right. That's why they're so important. Yes.
What I love is that over here when you're driving and just driving around on a regular road, and you see, and you immediately are connected with the sacredness of the land.
That's right. You can just suddenly come across it. It has a way of being like that.
How did you decide that this is the place where you would be able to find?
My first trip to Cusco, which was long before we even bought this land, it was in 1984 or 5. And as the plane approached Cusco, as we flew over Cusco, suddenly there was tears running down my face like this, of joy, just to finally be here. And it was very much a sensation of coming back. You know, I was so glad to be back, but I hadn't been here before. And, you know, my Cusqueño husband, he says to me, why are you crying? I'm the Peruvian that's returning and the emotion should be for me. But it was very emotional for me. And several times, not just the first time, but always, you know, I would come back a year later or 2 years later. And it was always the same happiness to be here, absolute joy. And I really felt from the first time this was somewhere where I really wanted to be. And I'm quite manipulative. It took me a long time to convince my husband, who was very happy in the US. But I spent almost 12 years convincing him that this is what we should do. So that was pretty much, you know, the story. Just feeling to belong, you know, and always as the car or the transportation I was in would approach Urubamba and the valley, you know, and I would see the valley sitting there, and always this sensation that is there waiting for me to come back, you know. So I felt very at home here from the first time. So, and we've been very fortunate. We've traveled a lot of the world, and I've seen wonderful things and wonderful places to be, but it always comes back to here for me.
So where are you from, Dee?
I'm from London originally, and I lived in many different parts of the southern Britain. And when I was like 21, 22, I went to live, well, I wasn't sure I was going to live, but I went to the US and with some friends who were going there to live. And as it happened, about a year into that, when I was kind of undecided whether to go back to England or not, I met my husband, who was there. He was in Washington, D.C. He was going to school there. He'd finished engineering in Lima, but he had a student visa, so he had to do his credits to stay in the U.S. full-time. So he continued his education, and that's how I met him. And that's why I ended up staying in the U.S. for almost 30 years, like 28 years. We met in the Washington area, and then we lived in South Florida.
Yeah, so it's not only just that you've visited places, you've actually lived in so many different places.
I have lived in a lot of different places.
Yeah.
You know, even in England, I lived just outside of Cambridge. I've lived in Kent. I've lived in 2 different parts of Kent, and Cambridge I love very much, and had my first little house just outside of Cambridge, where my parents had a pub, and so I spent a lot of time there, even in my young years when I was at school, but I went to school in London. So when my mother remarried and had the pub outside of Cambridge, I stayed in London, and because I went to a special school there for theatre and dance. And I didn't want to leave that, so I stayed in London with my grandmother.
So I'm going to ask you a question, and I just want you to say the first thing that comes to your mind. Okay, very fast.
Okay.
Where is home?
Here.
Not England?
No.
You never miss?
No. I find I'm more nostalgic as I get older for English things, British things and English things, than I am for the US, although I lived actually more years in the US than in England. But I find that, you know, the nostalgia more connected to English lifestyle. Yeah. It's funny.
So immediately you do feel this is your home.
Definitely.
When you go back to England, do you feel you're coming back home, or you feel it's something in the past? Like you were talking about the 3 worlds.
Yeah, it's something in the past, I think. I love to go. I enjoy it very much. But I don't belong there. Not anymore. I feel a little out of place. I think I'm too Latinizado.
Is that a word, or have you coined it?
I don't think it is. Latinized somehow. Because even my life in the US, in Florida, you know, and I'm very grateful that my daughters, I have no brothers and sisters, so with Efrain's family and my cuñados and my in-laws and everything, we're this huge Peruvian family. So, you know, when we would get together, we'd easily be like 27 people with the sobrinos and the nieces and nephews and everything. So I very much absorbed Peruvian culture long before I came here. And I think that was part of the emotion of finally coming to Cusco, you know. I used to dance Peruvian music, cook Peruvian food. I was completely absorbed in this Peruvian culture. So when I came, it wasn't so new to me, you know, it wasn't strange.
So what about Peru? I mean, Peru has so many states, and when I think of Cusco, I always used to think it's a city or a town. But
Yes.
now I hear that it's actually a state.
We are in Cusco. It's like New York, New York.
Yeah.
Think of it like that. I always tell
Right.
people think of it like that. Because, yeah, we're in Cusco right now, but we're an hour, 15 minutes or so from the airport of Cusco City.
Right.
So,
So,
yes.
so then
And a lot
why
of-
Urubamba? How did you decide? And
Well, Efrain had, back when we first came, there were no hotels really in the valley very much. Nowhere fancy to stay. And you had to be kind of a, you know, they say mochilero, you know, willing to rough it, you know, the hikers and with your, you know, backpackers.
is that
was,
like macho?
that was like
Yeah.
the kind of tourism that came here, you know. And his aunt had a guest house place very close to here. So we would come and we would stay with his cousins in the city, and then we'd come down and stay with his aunt, who was just a few more meters down the road here in Urupacha. This community where we are is called Urupacha. Urupacha in Quechua means puente de piedra, stone bridge. And that's because there's a very small, if you walk from here into town, you're not even really aware that you're on it, but at some point the road crosses and there's a stream underneath, and it is a colonial stone bridge from the time of the colony.
Well, I see stones everywhere. Yeah,
yes.
I see them behind
but
you.
But if it's an arch,
yes,
it's from the colonial period.
Okay.
The Incas did not use the rounded arch. Only trapezoidal.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
So when you decided to come to Cusco, was it Urubamba that would draw you, or the state itself?
I think the city of Cusco I fell in love with the first time as a city, and I love the Inca streets, and it just transports me, and I still enjoy going.
What's Inca
to
Street?
Well, it's a very interesting, the architecture is super interesting, because unlike any other place I've ever been, you have the Inca construction for sometimes up as much as 3 meters high, 9, 10 feet. And the Spaniards, when they came, they built on top of that. Okay. So they kept the Inca structure, the stone walls, as the foundations, because they were anti-seismic. And that's why they're still here. They're still there.
Oh, so you get earthquakes
in
here?
the city? Yes.
Okay.
Not much, and less. I mean, they get tremors here, yeah, and less so in the valley. But the city of Cusco, the reason there are so many Inca foundations or streets, that are, up to here is Inca stonework, is because every Inca had his own palace. Unlike the Europeans, that they inherit generation after generation the palace or the castle. Each Inca, at the time of his death, his mummy stayed in his palace with his court and the people that would take care of his mummy, almost as if it was still alive. So you've got at least 10 of these in the city of Cusco. So there's like 10 blocks, round blocks, that are all Inca. And then the construction on the top is from the colonial period. So you walk these streets and alleyways, and it's just, it's very special. It's very special. I love Cusco as a city. Not so much so in the historical district, of course, which is more, there's a lot of streets where just you can walk only. But the rest, where it's grown, where they have supermarkets and banks and everything, the traffic is horrendous. So I wouldn't like to live in Cusco City. Maybe in the 80s I would have done, but not now. So here is quieter, it's better. And the energy here is very special too. And we always came here because of Aunt Hilda. So I got used to this neighborhood, and I would walk around here and between the little house when we were, fabricating what was left of that little house. It was abandoned. It was a little abandoned building with a dirt floor and 1 light bulb, no plumbing. This was it, and I wanted to restore it. So during that process, I would come down a few times a year, and I would walk between here and Aunt Hilda's place. And on the way, it's not far, but it would take me so long to get there because everybody would stop and speak to me. Buenos dias, señora. ¿Cómo está la familia? How's the family? When is your husband coming? This and that. And I would sometimes bring things, clothes for the kids, or, from my daughters, or toys and stuff. I would bring things. And you would want to give something to these people. And I would get back to the house, and there would be like a whole sack of corn or potatoes or something they wanted to reciprocate. Very generous people, very kind. And I was known, they called me the gringa con sombrero, because yo andaba with a little, the native type of sombrerito, and they called me the gringa con sombrero. So by the time we came here to live, we already knew all the neighbors. They knew us.
That's so wonderful.
So it was easy to make that transition. And we also had friends here already, you know. So that it was, yes, it was quite an easy transition in that respect, you know.
Because when we were driving down here, I see that the change from one kind of a lifestyle that you can see here to this. You know, so I do see these villas.
Yes,
but also there are those, I think they're vegetable kind of farms, not little farmhouses.
Yes.
And I see an indigenous working over there.
That's right.
So they are your neighbors.
Yes, they're neighbors.
Wow.
Which is nice, you know, it's special.
Yeah.
And as I felt for a long time, the last years I was in close to Miami anyway, in Florida, some of it is very plastic, you know. And you have a house on a beautiful golf course, it's perfectly manicured. But to me, even with all the disadvantages of being here, and that people don't pick up the trash sometimes, and it's not perfect, but with all the imperfections, I feel here I'm living in the real world. You know, in Miami it's kind of plastic and fake, and it's not the real world.
Yeah,
you know. And when my grandkids would come down here, I would tell them, you know, and I would send them to buy bread, and they were thrilled to have the freedom, you know, 4 and 5 years old, to go walk down the road on their own and buy bread.
It's so safe.
It's because everybody knew who they were and where they belonged. Wow. You know, safe. And this is the freedom I was able to give them. You know, and it was special. And they would go down to buy the bread, and then they would come back like an hour later, and I'm like, where are they? What are they doing? We need the bread for breakfast. And of course they would go into the house and play with the kids, and the lady would have, you know, in the kitchens they have it's not a shop, it's just a house, and she opened the door and the bread was there in baskets, you know, it wasn't a proper little store even back then. And they would go in, and of course all the guinea pigs were on the floor in the kitchen, and they would play on the dirt floor with the children. And I've always made a point of telling them, you know, more people in the world live like that than how you live. So they, you know, try to open their minds.
Yeah.
You
See
know?
the real world.
This is
and
real world.
Feel at ease with it.
All its pros and cons.
Yeah.
But it's real.
Yeah.
And that's how I feel. You know, in Florida, the homes are, you know, they build them in a couple of months, and they're not very solid, even though there's hurricane laws and everything. You know, they're made of cardboard. They look like palaces on the outside, but they're flimsy on the
Next
inside.
time when you come, that's the only thing I'll say. Because I live, as you know, in Miami, but more in one of the suburbs.
Yes.
And just like you said, you don't like plastic, you like natural.
Yes.
My garden is, when my mother-in-law came, she said, this is a jungle. To her, it was a negative. To me, I said, thank you.
Oh, yeah, that's wonderful.
Yes.
That's wonderful.
I said, the gardeners in my garden is nature. You know, so many things planted by birds and so many. And,
I love that.
Yeah, and just let nature take care of its own.
I would have this place if it was me a little less manicured.
Okay.
I like
a little
overgrown
wild.
a little bit,
Yeah.
but Ephraim, he likes things little, you know, straight lines. And
Yeah, I think we are twin couples in that.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
but I like it as
no,
it
but
is,
it's natural. It's so beautiful.
You know,
yeah.
I try to leave some things; they just grow and they look happy there, and I don't want to move them. And I try to do that a little bit too. But this whole area where we're sitting and where the construction was just a cornfield. It was just a cornfield.
Okay.
Yeah, and so when we finished building, you know, it took time. Really, I think even just in the last couple of years, we've got more bushes and more trees. The trees have grown, they're more established. Because at first it was a little bit bare, you know, after all the building and everything, and we put grass just to make it green, but then it was not quite as natural as you would like, but you can't do anything about that, you just have to wait.
Yeah.
Now it's becoming a little more, you know, grown in.
It's beautiful and lush.
But something about Cusco, and certainly people from the coast and from Lima, even Peruvians from Lima. And I think the general impression, people see so much about Cusco. We're up in the mountains, it's cold, people dress very warm, and the local people, you know, you see them with wool stockings and 3 or 4 sweaters on the top, and I don't know how they stand it, because in the day it's so warm. But they're used to it being very cold at night, and they're not used to wearing light clothing. They're all bundled up, you know.
Yeah, that's true.
But the funny thing is that Cusco, people, I mean, I suppose a lot of the documentaries about the Incas and Cusco, and because it's high, it's cold, but 2/3 of Cusco, as a departamento or state, as we would say, are jungle. 2/3 of Cusco is jungle, because it's high and then boom, it goes down. And you will see when you go to Machu Picchu, the train is actually going downhill. You feel like you're going up, but it's actually going down. So when you're in Machu Picchu, you're lower even than the Sacred Valley. And as the train goes, you see the vegetation starts to change. You get orchids and bromeliads, and as you go down toward Machu Picchu. And of course, when you're in Machu Picchu, if you look over in one direction, you're looking over to Brazil. So you're right in the Amazon. Now here we're right in the Andes, but just, you know, an hour and a half in the train, and you're also in the Amazon. And as I say, 2/3 of Cusco is jungle. And a lot of people don't realize that. You know,
so one more thing which I was thinking, one, you made this your home, and then you decided to share it. And
yes.
That's why I'm so grateful for that, because that's how we met.
That's
you know,
right, that's right.
I'm living in this. I have to share one thing for this morning, since you talked about the heat and the cold.
Yes.
I went out all bundled up. The sun was shining, and I saw the grass, and I just lay down on it face down.
Oh.
It was so fragrant. The grass is fragrant, you know.
Really?
And I heard the buzzing of the bees, and it was, I felt I was a child again.
Oh, well, nice.
Just being in nature.
I'm so glad.
And I feel so blessed that you have opened your home and opened spaces over here where people could come. So who do you open it to? Is it only to people who who you know through friends?
No, that's kind of how it started. And then somebody came one day, and I felt sad because the little house was all furnished and decorated, and we lived in it for a year while we built, apart from the vacations we'd had in it. And it was kind of sad to lock it up and just leave it as is.
Yeah.
And it was about 3 years into that, and somebody came that was a friend of a friend in Lima, and she said, "Why don't you put it on Airbnb?" And I was like, "What's that?" I'd never even heard of it, because it had just come out back then. And I did. So, and within a week, I had reservations for almost, at least something in every month of the year. I mean, it was very quick, and it was very successful. This wasn't part of our original plan, but it worked, and it was very nice, because you live in a small town, everybody knows everybody, but you have this transient groups of people coming through, speaking other languages, and so you can live in Urubamba, and if you're working in that way, it becomes quite cosmopolitan.
Yeah, that's right.
We meet people from all over the world.
Yeah.
It's very nice. And for the most part, they're people in Peru, they say they're buena onda, good vibe.
You're right. I see that when anywhere you go. Today I took a tuk-tuk.
You did?
And that reminded me a little of India, although this tuk-tuk was a little bigger.
I'm sure.
And all closed in. And the driver was so friendly, and he kept talking to me. Then I told him I speak a little Spanish, not a lot. But he was telling me many things and asking questions. It was so nice, Yeah, very
nice
friendly.
Experience. That's good.
That was nice.
That's good.
Yeah. So I'm so happy you opened your home. I'm so happy you found a home away from what have been your homes.
And we designed it ourselves. And Efrain, with his engineering background, of course, he was able to do all the plans for the plumbing and for the chimneys, and he made everything to scale. And the building experience was very smooth, and we built in 10 months.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So the workers here, it's easy to...
Local workers, we only use local people. The furthest away people were the people that are stone workers. These are stone, they're not cement, they are stone.
Yeah.
And the stone workers in the area come from Maras. The little town of Maras, where you will go through when you go to Morai and the Salineras, the people there, the families, they either work the salt or they work as stone workers. And the people that did all the stonework here came from Maras. And most of the regular workers that were doing the foundations and the walls and everything, they're all with local, not even from Urubamba, right here from Rumichaca. Local people, local people.
So I wanted to ask you, because this is called the Sacred Valley, and you were telling me how it's connected with the Milky Way.
Yes, yes. So the Sacred Valley is the reflection on Earth of the Milky Way in the universe.
Yeah, last night I tried to see it. I saw a little, and then the clouds covered it.
It was a bit cloudy, so you didn't see many stars
Well, I could see stars, but not the Milky Way, not the way that you want to see it.
At this time of year, if you're looking in that direction and a little over that way, like from the house, diagonally that way.
Okay.
You will see some of it. Usually, it depends. If it's not cloudy, you will see it and you can pick it out.
Well, I requested the clouds for tonight.
Very good. Okay.
The last time I was in the Andes in Ecuador, I had requested, please do not rain I was there for my birthday.
Oh, lovely.
And I said, tonight, please don't rain. Let me see the Southern Cross. Let me see the sunrise. And I did.
You did. So
I'm hoping the same thing will manifest.
It's clearing now. There was a few clouds a little while ago, and it's clearing.
Yeah.
So maybe your request is going to be honored.
I certainly hope so.
And very often at this time of year too, you don't have to stay very long outside at night without seeing shooting stars.
Okay.
There's a lot of shooting stars. You just look for a little while, invariably you will see. Yeah.
I wanted to ask you, you said in different places, and I know some places you find different from how it is here. But if you step back from and just looked at the whole world and just see what's happening to the world and what's happening to people, and you meet so many people, what do you feel? Because what do you feel we are co-creating as humanity?
I'm not sure about that. That's a big question. But I don't know.
You can see the Milky Way, so I think you can sense.
Yes. I think all of the greatest and biggest civilizations have autodestructivo. They've all destructed themselves. And I hope we're not going in that direction, but sometimes I think, maybe that's the cycle of civilizations.
You feel a lot of destruction will take place. What do you think is happening because if something's getting destroyed, something comes up. Like you said, you made this land, you removed a few things, and with time everything came up. So what do you think is coming up?
It does. It comes back, right?
Will it come back in the same way, or do you think it'll come back better? I really want to know, because you see so many people.
Yes.
Yes. What is the sense you get?
I appreciate technology and what it does for us. I appreciate that, but I'm afraid that it can go too far, and people will become more isolated. One-on-one like this is disappearing.
Yeah.
I have a granddaughter she's left-handed. She's a little trouble handwriting because her hand gets tired. So she had to have therapy for this and that. And I said to my daughter, it's sad to say, but by the time she's, in her 20s, people won't need handwriting. You do it like this.
Yeah.
and it's an art that's going to get lost. I'm a bit old school.
A few things we do feel bad that they get lost.
You know, I think it's sad that those things will get lost. And even one-on-one communication. You see a young couple out on a date. Maybe it's their first date, or whatever, and they're both on the phone.
Yeah, that's true.
And
but I have to say,
maybe they're texting to each other. I don't know.
I used to joke about that. Yeah,
but they're texting. They're not talking and looking at each other's eyes. And this, I think, there's a generation that's going to come up of this, and it's kind of sad. It saddens me.
You know, even
I'm
about
not sure
this,
where we're going.
Yeah, since we're talking about technology, and we know those tiny little mics that I had and speakers, and nothing was working, and yet somehow this phone is able to record. I'm sure the sound quality is not so good, but you know what I like?
It's amazing.
Those mics, they cancel out the ambient sound. But here, we're hearing the wind. Yes. We're hearing things that are going on. And this was so much more natural.
That's true.
In a way, it's like what you were talking about, jungle and something which is, you know, more manicured.
Yeah, that's true.
So this is a not a jungle, but let's say a wild co-creative conversation, I hope, in which we have allowed nature and the sacredness of the space to enter.
Yes, yes. That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
And I can't go away without talking about your earrings.
Oh, thank you. Yes, my earrings are the Chakana. And the house is in the shape of the Chakana. Also.
I wish I could go up somehow and see it.
If you connect to Google Earth, you can see it very clearly. The shape of the Chakana. The hole in the middle represents Cusco. It's Cusco City, which means, Cusco means in Quechua, Cosco, pronounced Cosco, is the center of the universe, of the Inca Empire, let's say. It's the center, for them it was the center of the Inca Empire physically and the center of the universe. And the word means umbligo in Spanish, so the navel of the universe.
Wow.
So that's represented by the hole in the center. And then you have the four wings, if you like, the four side pieces. Each one represents a different area of the Tahuantinsuyo. The Tahuantinsuyo is the four different sections of the Inca Empire.
Wow, so it really came from
as
here.
It goes down, has 3 steps down, and each step represents the 3 pachas.
Yes,
yeah?
the 3 words.
It's very, you know, all the symbolism is right here.
Wow.
And that's why we built the house with that context too.
Wow, that's beautiful. Well, we've taken steps into the past, the present, and the future. Do you have any last words for people who are going to be listening and watching?
Please come and enjoy it. Not necessarily with me, but no, it's a special place to visit. And I think many people, even people that you don't consider that are very connected, maybe spiritually, or that are perceptive of energy, the most unlikely person, you know, I would meet or talk to here, and they get it. They get it. They get the energy, the feel, the vibes. It's a very healing place. It's a very healing place. Even if you don't come looking for that, it's somehow, subconsciously, it can be life-changing. That's how it was for me. And I love, when people come here, you know, I hope that we love to travel, and I hope that, you know, we treat them how we'd like to be treated when we travel. You know, and
I have to say, you do. You go
I try.
beyond really anything that we could have expected and hoped for.
But I think
you're such a wonderful host.
Very much in the valley. I think you will find I'm not alone by any chance. It's part of the feeling of the valley, I think. Por algo is sacred, right? We can grow most everything here. The seasons are comfortable. They're not too extreme. It's a special place.
You know what's interesting also, I'm remembering, especially because you're talking of 3s and past, present, futures, how you said when you speak to someone in England, then your English accent comes back. You're speaking to me now, so it's like more, like whatever it is.
It's a mix.
It's a mix. And you also speak in Spanish.
Yes, yes.
So it's beautiful.
And sometimes
you're showing the timelines.
I try not to speak Spanglish,
Yeah.
but after being here so many years, what happens is that just some things, there's a word for it in Spanish that I can't explain it in one word in English.
So it comes up.
You go back to the Spanish word for it because it describes it perfectly,
Well, that's the beauty again. Yeah, you're absorbing everything within you.
That's what happened.
Yeah.
So
Thank you so much. This was such a treat talking
I've
to you.
enjoyed having you share our space and bring all this lovely energy for us. Thank you.
And I have to say one thing, since we were talking about technology, that though I'm recording it and I'm holding the camera, I hope it's been steady, but I've been looking at you directly because how important it is to have eye contact.
Absolutely.
Because you just cannot have it on technology. Maybe one day they'll manage,
yes,
but you cannot do eye to eye on a
It's
call.
something very special about
Yes.
going through the eyes.
Yes.
Yeah, I believe that too.
Yes.
I like to look at people's eyes when I talk to them.
Do you have any questions for me?
Oh.
Putting you on the spot.
Yeah, lots of questions. When you coming back?
Yeah, you're right. You stumped me. Thank you so much.
Thank you.